Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What is up? Wow, what a beautiful day to be alive. My name is Matthew Bivens, and welcome to the Having It All podcast. You are here because you want to create your unique version of an abundant, loving life. You want to feel filled up and joyous and on fire with purpose and passion and have deep, intimate connections with yourselves, others, and life, and truly be aligned with the abundance that the universe has to offer so that you are just creating all over the place. And if any of that resonates with you, then you are in the right place because that's what we talk about every single week. So if you're new to the show, then thank you. Thank you for hanging out and for taking a risk. You know, you're investing some of your time, and I don't take that for granted. I appreciate it. And if you are a returning listener, then I so appreciate you. You are amazing. And you all are the reason why I get behind the mic every week to talk and to share and to be vulnerable and honest. So just want to extend my gratitude to every single person who is listening to this right now. Thank you. All right, today is cool. Today I'm talking about health and fitness, and I have been passionate about health and fitness for most of my life. Definitely in the past 6 years, that passion has been notched up to ridiculous levels. And what I'm going to be doing today is giving you all some context around what it means to balance out your health and fitness. Because I think there's a lot of perspectives out there. There's a lot of viewpoints on balance in particular that is not helping folks to create healthy relationships to health. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to give you all some tools and some great things to think about. You're going to have some awesome takeaways, things that you can go and apply into your life that are going to impact your health and fitness immediately. Yes, I love it. Let's kick things off with some magic. Let's talk about how we are influencing ourselves, others, and life to create amazing results, to create amazing things. Because we are all creators of magic, but we aren't always aware of it, or we're not acknowledging it. So by you hearing my magic, my intention is that you start thinking about, what's some of the magic that I've created in my life recently? Because as you do that, as you tune in more to your ability to create magic, you're going to start seeing magic all over the place. And then you're buzzing. You recognize that you already have an abundant, loving life. You just may not be tuned into that frequency yet. So my magic is simple. Because magic doesn't have to be huge all the time. This magic is simple. Last Friday night, Sarah and I, after we put Maya down, we were just hanging out. We had finished eating dinner. Dishes were up, kitchen's cleaned up. And now we have a couple of hours to just hang out. And a lot of times, many nights, we'll turn on Netflix. We'll pick a show. We love to watch New Girl. We love to watch The Office. Recently, we like watching comedy specials, so we'll put some of those on, or we'll watch a movie. Sarah has come over to the dark side, so to speak, and she's totally down to watch Marvel movies and Star Wars and all that stuff. So we might just watch TV, and frequently while we're watching TV, one of us or maybe both of us might also be on our phones just browsing something. That happens a couple nights a week, and it was Friday, and we were going down that route. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be existing next to you. I want to be engaging and interacting with you. So we influenced ourselves to play a board game, and to keep the TV off. And it was awesome. It was so freaking cool. We just got this new carpet in our living room from IKEA. It's like big and thick and soft. And so we just spread out on the carpet, and we had this board game. I forgot what it was called. Something mind trap or something like that. You have cards, and you have to figure out the puzzles on the cards, and it was cool. It was this fun competition as her and I are trying to figure out these little puzzles, and both getting frustrated at different points because it was hard, and just having some playful banter. But we did that for about, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was just wonderful time connecting with my wife, and I loved it. So that's our magic. And again, it doesn't have to be huge, monumental, transformative magic. It can be something small like, you know what, we normally watch TV, but tonight we'll play a board game. But I recognize that, we influenced that. We influenced ourselves to do something different and had a really amazing experience. So, and if you're on the if you were on the Your Day Balance Game app, the balance chart app, then you saw me post my magic, and you'll see all my magic on there. So go think about what magical moments you're creating and share them with me. Reach out, mattcbivens@gmail.com or Matthew_Bivens on Instagram, and let me know what magic you are creating. And for those of you who are on the app, then post it there and I'll see it as well. And you can follow me, and when you follow me, I'll be able to follow you as well. And we can just keep connected that way. So today's listener love goes out to an awesome listener by the name of Mallory. And Mallory, I just want to say how much I appreciate you emailing me. And, that gesture in and of itself, you taking time out of your day to reach out, to write me a note and send it to me, that means a whole lot. Because I know that we all have full days. I doubt many of us are hanging out with all these pockets of time that we're like, how are we going to fill this next hour? So we've all got stuff going on. So the fact that you took some time out of your day, Mallory, to reach out means a whole lot. And I'm very grateful for I'm very inspired by what you wrote, because, you reached out wanting to share a life circumstance that you have created for yourself, and you were looking for some feedback. And that takes guts. It takes courage to ask a stranger for some feedback on something going on in your life. So again, I don't take either of those things lightly. So thank you so much, Mallory. I appreciate it. And if you want to reach out, if you got something you want to share about the podcast, if you have some suggestions for topics, I love those. I love when you tell me, hey, will you do an episode on blank, blank, blank? Whether it's an idea or whether you have a scenario you want me to read on an episode and answer. I love it all, because it means that I'm delivering what you want. And that's absolutely what I want. So if you have some love, you have some ideas, you have some feedback for me, you want to tell me that something sucks and I should change it, whatever it is, hit me up. mattcbivens@gmail.com or Matthew_Bivens on Instagram. I think I'm going to be plugging my contact info a lot in this episode, actually. So I'm really wanting everyone to reach out, apparently. But yeah. Speaking of plugs, before we jump into the episode, I have a couple of things that I want to share, some ongoing things, and I want to announce some upcoming things that I think you're really going to dig. So right now, ongoing for the month of August 2018, we're doing the Trust Challenge, where everybody who has signed up, we've got probably close to 100 people now, you have committed to making one deposit into your personal trust account each and every day for the month of August. So that means you're doing something for yourself. You're showing up for yourself. And what you're doing by being consistent and by keeping your commitment to stay with it for one full month, what you're doing is you are showing yourself that you can count on yourself, that you can show up for yourself. You can rely on yourself. You can trust yourself. And that's what this whole thing is about. So if you haven't joined, go ahead and join us. It's awesome. It's free. It's open for anybody. It's super, super simple to sign up. You just give me your name, your email address, tell me what you want to commit to, click a little button that says, hell yeah, I am in, and boom, you're added to the challenge. And you can learn more and sign up at matthewbivens.com/trust, TRUST. So that's what's going on. Now I want to announce something that's coming up. This is pretty special, and I'm working on it with Sarah. So if you didn't know, my amazing wife, Sarah, she also hosts a podcast. She's a balanced lifestyle coach. She's a mompreneur, and she is a podcast host. And she has a show called the Balance and Motherhood podcast. So it's all about moms and balancing out all those different roles you have as a mom, as a partner, as a friend, as, all of that stuff. Entrepreneur in Sarah's case. So she's got this really amazing thing she's got going on in with her brand. I'm doing my thing here with Having It All. And together we're doing our life thing together. We're walking our path together. So we are creating right now a really cool 12-week experience for couples called The Couples Conversation, where Sarah and I go very deep, get very intimate, very raw, and very vulnerable in 12 areas that are so important for couples to be addressing. And it covers the gamut, everything from sex and intimacy to money to how to cope during conflict to loving yourself and taking care of yourself and knowing who you are within the relationship. All sorts of cool stuff. And it's for men and women and partnerships of all shapes and sizes. And that's all I'm going to tell you. It's coming soon. All right. So I'm teasing that. All right. Let's talk health and fitness. Let's freaking talk health and fitness because I know that this impacts every person out there, your health and your fitness. And in the context of having it all, what we talk about on this show, an abundant, loving life, your health is vital. Your health is vital. So I have in previous episodes, I think there was one in April of 2017. I think because I went and looked. I don't know the title though, but I talked about this framework called the body vehicle. Now, the body vehicle is a very, very cool way to look at the totality of how you experience life. So imagine you have a car, and on this car, there are 5 wheels, 5 circular objects. You've got the 4 tires, the 2 front tires, the 2 back tires, and you have the steering wheel. Those are all the different 5 wheels on your car. Now, we can assign a category, so to speak, to each one of those 5 wheels. You've got your mental wheel, that's the steering wheel. You've got your spiritual wheel and your social wheel. Those are the front 2 tires. And you've got your emotional wheel and your physical wheel. Those are the back 2. And that emotional wheel and physical wheel, they are connected, right? There's an axle that goes across and connects the 2. So when you're thinking about your life and your experience of life in the 5 wheels, you have to realize that your experience of life is being impacted by the areas that you are not addressing. So if you have this body vehicle, right, and cars have these tires that are inflated, imagine if one of those tires is very, very low on the pressure, right? Just put yourself in your car, whatever kind of car you drive. Imagine that one of your tires is low, and then you start accelerating. What happens? Your ride gets bumpy. Your car starts to shake. And depending on how deflated that tire is and depending on how fast you're going to crash. The car is going to stop itself at some point because it just can't sustain that sort of pace. It can't sustain that sort of beingness in your car. So a lot of us at one point or another are riding around with 1, 2, maybe more tires that are deflated. So think about it for yourself. Think about your mental wheel, your spiritual wheel, your social wheel, your emotional wheel, your physical wheel. How many of those have the proper tire pressure? How many of those are a little bit deflated? How many of those are overinflated and threaten, have the potential to burst? Today we're talking about the physical wheel because you experience your life through your physical body, right? Like no matter what you believe in terms of the universe and how things really work and what happens after we die and what was going on before we came onto this plane of existence, we can all agree that we are here on earth right now in these physical bodies. So to some extent, we are experiencing this version of life through our physical body. So our physical health is impacting our overall experience. And when you start thinking about how you approach your health and your fitness, I want you to let go of all of these things that are shoulds. I should be doing this. I should be following this model. I should have this diet. I should have this workout regimen because somebody else told me that that's what I need to do. Because we all know there are 1,001 different exercise programs, different brand named things you can sign up for, different diets that you can buy into, different subscription services that promise to get you X, Y, and Z results in, some certain time frame. There's so many options out there. So that means that there isn't one that's meant for everybody. So I just want you to let go of this belief that you might be holding on to, that it has to look a certain way for you because that's how it looks for another person. Now, I'm going to be talking about how it looks like for me. And there might be aspects of what I share about my health and fitness regimen, my routines, that you love and you're like, "Yo, that's dope. I want to borrow a couple of those." And there might be a few that you say that does not work for me at all. Great. That's totally fine. Because what we are really looking for, what I personally am seeking, is something that is sustainable for me. I have a number of super fit friends who sometimes I look at them like, "Man, I would love that body." And then I hear some of the things they do, and I'm like, you know what? That is not sustainable for me, for how I want to live my life, for the experience that I want to have. Right? And now if I were to be so attached to their routine, to what they are eating and to what they are doing, yet at the same time, I don't feel like it works for me, that creates some conflict. That creates tension within me. So before we get into the nitty-gritty here, let go of the tension and the conflict that's within you. That's saying that it has to look a certain way, that you're damning yourself because you haven't done the thing that maybe you signed up for. Maybe you have spent money on these different programs and they're sitting there gathering dust. Well, guess what? Probably means it doesn't resonate with you and it's not for you. That's okay. I bought P90X once. I did it for a little while and I was like, you know what? This just isn't for me. That's totally cool. Doesn't mean that I'm a failure. Doesn't mean that I've given up on myself physically or given up on my health. There's also another conversation that I want to address as we get into this, and that's that you are starting too late. That you are however many years old, and you spent however many years not loving on your body, neglecting your health, not showing up for yourself physically, or in that physical wheel, and that now it's too late for you. That's another belief that it's time for you to let go of. It truly is never too late. Because as soon as you start on your path towards whatever version of physical health and fitness works for you, as soon as you begin, take that first step, things are already happening for you. You're already improving, physically speaking. And in that health there, you are already making strides. So it doesn't really matter if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, when you're getting rocking and rolling. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you're doing one thing. And forward movement sometimes looks like a millimeter step. You know what I mean? Like sometimes forward movement looks like instead of drinking 5 Cokes a day, you might drink 4.75 Cokes a day. Like that's some forward movement. So let's give ourselves credit for just those small things that we are doing. And the small things that you're going to start doing after this episode. So, the idea of balance is something that's kind of like the title to this show, Having It All. Like I chose the title Having It All for a reason, because that phrase was something I kept seeing again and again on opposing sides of opposing perspectives. Some people thought that you could have it all and it's possible. Others thought it was terribly selfish to even utter those words. Balance is similar. Balance is divisive. There are people who absolutely believe there is such thing as life balance, work-life balance, balancing your health or your habits or whatever it is. And then there are some people who think that balance is a 4-letter word, that you definitely should not be talking about balance because it's unachievable. And I think that's a great place to start because we need to change how we view balance. Now, I am a balanced lifestyle coach. I have been playing this health and fitness game called the Your Day Balance game for almost 6 years. And with my clients, when I work with you, I put you on this tool called the balance chart. So obviously, I have some healthy or empowering associations, at least positive associations with the word balance. Okay? And so for me, balance is not about keeping all things in order and moving perfectly smoothly at the same time. For me, balance is not a watch. Like when you open up an old school analog watch with the gears and everything. Everything is precisely fine-tuned and everything moves in exactly the right way in the tiniest little increments, and the big gears lock with the small gears and it moves and everything is perfectly synchronized. That's not what balance is for me. Balance for me is a person standing in a yoga pose. So right now, as I'm saying this, I just got into tree pose. I like to record when I'm standing up. That's how I feel like I have more energy. So now I'm in tree pose. I've got one foot planted on the ground. My other foot is up resting on my inner thigh. And if you saw me from my neighbor's house, because my window is open right now, my neighbor could probably see me. He's about, 150 feet away. If he was looking at his window and looking at me, he would be like, wow, he's standing perfectly still. He's perfectly balanced. My goodness. But if you were standing next to me right now and you were looking down at my feet, you would see tiny movements. My foot, is adjusting as my body is swaying, as my muscles are tightening and releasing. There's so much going on within my body right now that is helping to counterbalance all the different forces as I breathe in and I have a little, my chest expands and I move a certain way, or as I scratch my head, like there's all sorts of things happening, tons of movement that's helping to create, this, what you're seeing in me right now, or what you're hearing, which is me standing in a balanced pose. That to me is how I view balance. It's about being able to counterbalance when and where needed. It's about knowing where to put your attention and where to fall back. Right? So right now my foot is saying you need to lean a little bit to your right. Okay, no, now back to the left. All right, now, really grip with those toes. Okay, now release on your heel. Now back a little bit over here. My body is paying attention to what needs attention in the moment, and it's putting resources there. And it's constantly adjusting. That to me is balance. So when I think of balancing out my health and balancing out my fitness, it's not about finding one thing that works in perfect synchronicity with the rest of my life and I just lock it in and that's all that I do. It's about understanding where I need to put a little bit of attention. It's about listening to my body, and my body is saying, I'm craving something green and something living right now. Okay, let me put in a little bit of attention there. And it's saying, I'm craving a little bit of strength training right now. Okay, great, let me go push some weight. And it's saying, I'm craving some water right now. Okay, awesome, let me get you some water. And it's not necessarily about having everything lined up perfectly, but understanding when I need to give a little here, when I need to pull back a little bit there. So that's how I view balance. And that works for me way, way better than this rigid idea that I have to figure out how it all fits perfectly. Because if we go back to the body vehicle, right, and we got those 5 wheels, mental, spiritual, social, emotional, and physical. A classic way of viewing them in a balanced frame is that each one of them gets 20% of my time, 20% of my attention, 20% of my resources. But that's not how life is. That's not how my life is. There's some weeks where I don't have much social stuff going on, right? My social might be at 5%. While that week, maybe I was really putting in a lot of time in running or something. So my physical was up at 40% of my time, and maybe mentally I was at a conference, and so that life moves. It's fluid. And so that's why I really like this concept of balance, because it allows me to make adjustments and see what I need in the moment, understanding overall what I'm playing for. Okay, so we talked about balance, and I gave you a different context for balance. Now I want to do the same for the words health and the words fitness, because when I say health and fitness, or perhaps when you read that in the title, it probably conjured up a certain emotion within you or a certain image. So, our context and the lens through which we look at things and perceive things really plays a huge part in how we experience those things. So, for me, health is all about healing my body. The first 4 letters of health are heal, H-E-A-L. And so for me, heal means, can I detox my body quicker than I intox my body? Can I detox quicker than I intox? Because life is intoxicating. Every time we step outside, we're going to be hit with toxins. I'm not talking about smog from our cars or, radiation from whatever jet streams being spilled over the ozone, that stuff. I say that with a wink. I'm talking about, we're inundated with toxic messages about ourselves, about our bodies. We're inundated with toxic energy from people that we work with that ends up clinging to us and influencing us. We take in toxic food and toxic drink, things that aren't serving our body, things that aren't elevating our energy. It's depleting us of energy. So we are going through life bringing in all of these toxins. And then the question is, what are you doing to detox? What are you doing to cleanse? What are you doing to heal? That's what I think of when I think of health. I think of healing. I think of, let me make sure that I'm doing things to detoxify my body and cleanse my body faster than I'm taking things in. And when I use the word cleanse, because that brings up a whole bunch of things as well, I'm not necessarily talking about doing what is it? Apple cider vinegar and maple syrup cleanse. I'm not talking about a program where you drink something for 3 days and then all of a sudden everything's back to normal, and then you go on with your intoxicating life and then do the same cleanse again in 6 months. I personally don't believe in that. I believe in a lifestyle. I believe in having a sustainably healthy and healing lifestyle. So I'm doing things constantly that are healing my body, as opposed to, cleansing it and trashing it for many months and then cleansing it for a weekend. That's not a model that works for me. But again, it's a model out there. It's an option. So that works for some people. But right now, I just wanted to give that new context for the word health. Now, fitness is a little bit more straightforward. For me, that's moving the body, the movement of your body. When you are participating in fitness, you tend to experience those different sensations in your body that we commonly associate with fitness. Your heart rate goes up. You start to breathe faster. Your body starts to heat up. You begin to perspire. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about health and fitness. So, how are we balancing out our health and our fitness? So what are we doing constantly throughout our days, throughout our weeks, throughout the months and the years that is addressing the healing of our body, that is addressing the detoxifying of our body and the movement of our body? That's what I want you to think about now when you're thinking about your health and fitness. And it isn't simply going to the gym and jumping on a treadmill and doing a thing for 45 minutes and calling it a day. Because in that you are only addressing a small portion. There is such thing as mental health. There's spiritual health. There's emotional health. All right? Think back to those 5 wheels. There can be healing in each one of those areas. So it's important to look at the totality of things when you're looking at your health and your fitness, and you're trying to balance those things out. So I am going to share now the tool that I use. Now just know, I don't get any kickback for using this tool, but you do have to pay for it. It's like $10 a month. I'm going to share with you this tool because so far, for me, it's the best thing that I have seen to balance out healthy habits in the way that I've described. You can do the same thing and you can achieve a similar effect without getting a tool. You can go analog with it. You can have a journal and, write down the habits that you want to incorporate and some that you want to weed out and just work on habits that way. I like tools and this tool works for me, so that's why I'm putting this out there just to let you know, hey, listen, if what I'm sharing with you doesn't work for you, fine. Take aspects that do work. Maybe there are certain habits in certain areas of your life that you haven't been focusing on. You've been totally neglecting. Maybe you just weren't aware of it. Maybe you weren't aware of the fact that the physical wheel and the emotional wheel are connected. That for almost all of us who've ever gone out and done some sort of workout, we feel emotionally different afterwards. I know for me, for years, I turned to running when I was going through hard times in my life, particularly hard relationships. When I was dealing with things emotionally, I turned to fitness. A lot of people do that. They turn to fitness in order to work on emotional things. It was very therapeutic for me. On the flip side of that, a lot of people feel what is called a runner's high after they're done with fitness, right? When your body is in that movement, when you're doing things for your body, it impacts those emotions. But you may not have been aware of that. Similarly, you may not have been aware of the truth that we are taking in toxins all the time and that we need to be detoxing our body. If that isn't in your awareness around health and fitness, then of course that's not being addressed. And if it's not being addressed, then it's impacting your physical being. And if it's impacting your physical being, it's impacting your overall experience of life. You see how all this stuff is connected? All connected. So you can hear baby Maya out there right now. She's talking. She gets it. She watches us. And you got people who are watching you, whether it be your kids or your coworkers or your family or your spouse. And so the stuff that we're talking about, with health and fitness right now, it has the potential to impact so many people. I know a number of people who have made shifts in their health that has trickled down to the rest of their family. It's a beautiful, amazing thing to watch. So I'm pulling up right now my balance chart, and I've talked about this a number of times, but it's worth going over again how the word balance as an acronym breaks out. Because again, even if you're not interested in using this tool per se, you can be thinking about what you are doing in each of these areas in your life. Because this is how you address the totality. By doing habits in all these different areas, this is how you make sure that you're putting attention into those specific areas that you need when you need it. This tool, the balance chart, is similar to what my foot is doing right now as I'm back in tree pose. It's addressing the areas that need attention. Oh, you're leaning this way. Let me adjust here. Oh, let's put some weight back here. Oh, let's do this. Oh, I haven't done any cardio recently. Let me go and do this over here. Oh, I need to be drinking a little bit more water. Let me go do that. Oh, my mind is feeling a bit cluttered. Let me go meditate for a bit. Oh, I haven't been paying attention to my spouse. Let's go on a date. All of those little things are habits that I'm going to talk about that impact your overall health and fitness. And so by addressing each of them and counterbalancing in the areas that need a little bit more attention, that's how we make sure that we're touching everything. Because when we feel out of balance is when one of those areas in our lives that are important to us are being completely neglected. We feel out of balance when one of our 5 tires is flat. Or, you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that the acronym ALL in having it all, abundant loving life, for that life aspect, we talk about the 6 F's. Faith, family, friends, fitness, finance, and fun. Guess what? If you don't have one of those, if one of those is just non-existent, you're probably going to feel out of balance. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to have all 6 of those at the same level, but you want to be doing something in each of those areas consistently. That's how you stay in balance. So whether it's the 5 wheels or the 6 F's or whatever other framework works for you, it's about doing something in each of those areas that matter and each of those areas that are important to you and doing it consistently. Just a little something consistently over time. That's how we create healing. That's how we create fitness. All right. So in the balance chart, B stands for breath. Breath is all about that habit, that thing that each one of us on earth, we need. We need to breathe. Breath habit is all about cardio as well. It's about getting out and getting into that movement that raises our heart rate. So when I pull up my balance chart, I have things on here that I do consistently, such as going for a run for 4 miles. I have that on my balance chart a couple times. I have breathing exercises, Tai Chi breathing, that I do 3 times a week. I do breath holds. Breath holds are great. They're really interesting. Not only do you improve your capacity over time by holding your breath, but what I found really interesting is when I've worked on holding my breath, and I got up to being able to hold my breath for 3 minutes and I think close to 20 seconds was the longest I went. I would reach this part in holding my breath that my body would start to panic. My body is like freaking out and my mind wants to stop. But if I can just continue to be calm and peaceful in my mind, my body begins to follow. And I learned that, wow, I don't have to react to what my body is telling me. It's very interesting. So breath, ask yourself in your life, what are you doing that is incorporating your breath? Do you have regular breathing exercises? Maybe you're waking up and taking 3 deep breaths before you begin your day. Or maybe you're using deep breathing as a way to cope with stress, which is great. You know, when something happens in your life you weren't expecting and your anxiety kicks up, your stress levels go up, you're using breath to get back to your peaceful center. What type of cardio do you have in your life? Are you walking regularly? Are you jogging regularly? Do you enjoy swimming? Do you like jumping on a bike? Maybe you enjoy being on a row machine. What are you doing that's getting your heart rate going up? And it doesn't have to be much. A dear friend of mine has been working on her health for a while, and right now she's walking every day. Just a simple walk every day. And what's wild is, yes, there's physical benefit to it. It is impacting her health. But by being consistent with that habit, it's impacting something on a much deeper level, her ability to count on herself and keep her own commitments. Kind of sounds like what we're doing with the trust challenge, huh? So that breath habit is so essential. So be thinking, what are you doing consistently for breath? Some people are getting into the breath habit. Some people are doing cardio every day because that's what's sustainable for them. That's not what's sustainable for me. I'm running about 2 times a week. I'm doing medium distance runs. And maybe 1 to 2 other times I'm doing a short run, like a mile. So that just gives you some context. So the A in balance, the first A is all about aqua. That's like your liquids, the fluids that you're taking into your body. Because there's a lot of intox happening with our fluids. I'm not just talking about alcohol. We're drinking things all the time that aren't serving our body. They aren't raising our energy. You know, you might get a temporary boost of energy, but then there's the long-term impact of that choice in your liquids, which isn't serving you. So in the aqua habit, you want to just be paying attention. Are you drinking water? Are you drinking water? It's very interesting that a lot of folks, when you think about it, you are not drinking just plain water throughout the day. I'm not talking about water in tea. I'm not talking about water in juice. I'm talking about a bottle of water. Are you drinking water? My goal is to drink half of my body weight in ounces of water every day. That's my goal, and I've built to that goal. And for those of you who I have coached or currently am coaching, you'll know that that's something that we build to. Half of your body weight in ounces in water every single day. You already know that your body is made of water, that your brain is mostly made of water, and that water literally does cleanse your body. It filters toxins out of your body. So that is almost a no-brainer habit, but it's one that not a lot of people do. So be thinking about your water intake. On that same note, be thinking about the intake of other liquids you're putting into your body. When you wake up first thing in the morning, are you ingesting something that is benefiting you from a health standpoint? I mean, let's be real. The Starbucks drinks taste great, but if you're drinking one every single day to get your morning started and it's full of sugar and all this other stuff, that's not benefiting you. You know, you get that temporary spike. It's probably more of an emotional attachment you have to that drink as to why that you believe you need it every day. And that's something to address in this aqua category. Because again, remember I said taking a step forward isn't saying to yourself, okay, fine, I'm doing 5 Starbucks drinks each week. Now I'm going to go to 0. Maybe it's replacing one of them. Maybe instead of the sugary coffee drink in the morning, you replace it with a tea. It's about taking a step forward in the direction of your healing and your health and your fitness. So in my aqua category, I have things like drinking water, drinking fresh squeezed veggie juice, replacing animal milk with soy milk. So those are the things that I'm doing in my aqua category on my balance chart to balance out my health and fitness. Let's move to L. L stands for lengthen. That's all about your flexibility. So similar to some of the aqua, not a lot of us are thinking about our muscles and our joints and stretching them. A lot of us are going through our lives being very rigid and inflexible. And so in this category, this is all about, taking some time out to stretch our bodies in different ways. So in my balance chart, I have all sorts of things, stretches that address different areas like my groin, my glutes, my shoulders, my hamstrings, my lower back. Those are all areas that I have recognized as spots for me, opportunities for me, because I might have a lot of tightness. And when I first started on my balance chart almost 6 years ago, I wasn't doing this many. I had a couple of habits, maybe 2 in each category. But now, over time, I've expanded. My why's gotten bigger, and the game I'm playing is growing. So, in order to maintain my capacity and be able to do what I do all throughout each day and each week, I'm putting a lot more reps into my health and fitness on a consistent basis. So when I first started talking about lengthen, I also mentioned this idea of being rigid versus flexible. That's another really interesting thing. Everything in here has a metaphysical component. So everything in here, we might be talking about our physical body, but it connects to something emotional as well. Typically, I have seen people who are rigid in life. They're also rigid in their bodies. Rigid in life means that you hold a certain perspective, you hold a certain belief system, and you are unwavering. You are not interested in letting any other possibility in. You are rigid. People are this way. This type of group of people think and behave this way. This is just how the world is. That's a very rigid perspective. And a lot of times you'll see rigidity in that person's body. So when you're working on your flexibility and you're noticing areas in your body that might be tight, also be thinking, where am I tight in my beingness? Where am I rigid in my perspectives? It's just a little interesting thing to think about. Let's move on to the second A in balance, and that's anaerobic. And these are those, this actually incorporates some of the fitness categories, some of the fitness habits. Anaerobic is that anaerobic exercise that really activates those muscles. Strength training is in here. If you're into calisthenics, that's in here as well. If you enjoy cross training, CrossFit style workouts, that's in the anaerobic category. So for me, this has been an area that I have increased over time because as I've been playing the Your Day Balance game and just moving up the what do you want to call it? There's 5 levels. So moving up the levels of difficulty, my anaerobic habits have really gone up because I've gotten stronger. I've gotten more fit. So I do things on here like squat holds, and I have a habit in here of a trainer-led workout and handstand presses and abs on a bar and pull-ups and push-ups and different things like that I'm doing consistently throughout my week. And now here's something else to think about with anaerobic. A lot of people think that in order to be healthy and fit, you need to be working out 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. And there's a lot of training regimens that have that type of frequency of working out. The folks that I interact with, the community of the health community that I'm a part of, people in that community don't work out typically more than twice a week, 2 times a week. They'll have a workout in a gym, and and they're doing some sort of circuit 2 times a week. I'm doing that now 1 to 2 times a week. I have a Thursday morning workout where I have a trainer and he puts me through exercises. And then in the Tuesday classes that I lead, frequently I jump in there and join them, and I'll be working out alongside of them. So that gives me 2 actual scheduled go to the gym workouts during the week. Now, I'm at a pro level in the Your Day Balance game. That's 4 out of 5. The 5th is All-Star. That's the highest you can go. So I'm at a pro level in my fitness. So I got to be doing something else, right? The answer is yes. I'm doing simple, small fitness habits every day throughout the week. Small ones. Things like push-ups, things like pull-ups, things like a squat hold. So I use my balance chart to get those anaerobic habits in throughout the day and throughout the week, so that if you were to compact all of the habits that I'm doing, it probably amounts to maybe another 2 workouts. So I'm, instead of doing 4, hour-long workouts every week, I'm doing 2 workouts and spreading the other 2 out across the other 7 days. And it's great. I talked about the pull-up bar I have in my kitchen and how my relationship towards it has ebbed and flowed over the years. But that pull-up bar is there for a reason, and that pull-up bar is worn out. The grips are all messed up on that thing. I've had it for a couple of years now, and I've put so many reps on that pull-up bar because every day I'll do some pull-ups. And I have yoga mats in my house, and when Sarah and I are watching TV or I'm hanging out with Maya, frequently I'm on the yoga mat stretching, or maybe I'm doing some push-ups. I'm incorporating these things into my life. They've become part of my lifestyle. That works for me. That's sustainable for me. It feels weird when I go a day and I haven't done any little exercise. Even if it's just 10 push-ups, it feels weird for me to wow, I haven't done anything today to move my body. But again, that's what works for me. And all I'm doing right now is I'm giving you something that you might want to pick up. You might want to pick up 1 or 2 of these habits. And that's cool. Maybe none of them work for you. That's fine as well. Hopefully that's the case and you got some education out of this. So that's anaerobic. For nutrition, that's all about the food we're taking into our bodies. It has a lot to do with the healing, the intoxing and detoxing. So again, nutrition for me has changed over the years. Right now, I have things in here like eating a green salad as a meal. I used to eat a salad with a meal, but now I'm playing for once a week at least, having a salad as a meal itself. Eating home-cooked food 4 days a week. When you cook your own food, you know what ingredients are in it. You can control what's in it. You can make it as healthy or unhealthy as you want. If you're eating out a lot, it's hard to know. There's things that go into food when you're eating in a restaurant or if you're eating fast food that's not in the food at home. Sarah and I have been looking at our grocery bill over the years and, kind of wondering where's that money going. And a lot of the things that we're purchasing are whole foods. They're fresh foods. We don't have a ton of processed stuff. The stuff that is in packages in our house tends to be pastas and rice and cereal. I love my cereal, But, you open our fridge most of the time and it's just a bunch of veggies, a bunch of meat, a bunch of stuff like that. And that's evolved over time as we have found what works for our bodies and what doesn't work for our bodies. I'll give you an example. About 4 years ago, I was experiencing a lot of congestion throughout the day and particularly at night. And so my boss at the time said, hey, you might want to try going dairy-free because I've had congestion as well. And when I went dairy-free, some of it cleared up. So for 1 month, I went dairy-free. I wanted to try this out and see how my body responded. And although it didn't clear up my congestion, what it did is I recognized that I don't really need cow's milk. And I was the guy who would I would legitimately bring a gallon of milk and cookies to dinner parties because I loved my milk so much. I would bring it with me to places and I'd drink whole milk. But after doing a month of just experimenting, it was just an experiment and had nothing to do with my an intolerance to milk or me wanting to get off of milk. I just wanted to see if I could clear up my congestion. I thought there might have been a lot of like mucus in the milk that was causing mucus to build up within me. And again, it cleared up a little bit, but what it did, I think, for in a bigger way for me, was it helped me to let go of drinking so much dairy. And so today I don't drink any cow's milk. I haven't had a glass of milk in a long time. I will eat cheese, and cheese is probably the biggest thing that I'll eat right now that is still dairy. I tried getting back into yogurts, but I just don't enjoy the taste of milk anymore. Like, it just, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I don't enjoy that flavor, even though in the past I used to love it. So in the nutrition building block, try things out. Try different things, There's so many different, I don't even want to call it, whatever, diets or different things you can at least try. I have a friend who's doing Whole30, and Whole30 doesn't sound like any fun to me, so I'm not interested in trying it, quite frankly. But I've heard of people who will do something like Whole30, and they're not going to stick with it for the rest of their life, but they're going to incorporate some things from it. I think that's awesome. Overall, we put so much energy and time into food. It's something that we eat at least 3 times a day for most of us. And for a lot of us, we're eating mini meals in between the big meals. So food becomes something that, really takes a large portion of our lives, our attention, our resources. So when it comes to your nutrition, this is a great area for you to try different things. You have all these opportunities because you're eating at least 3 meals a day for most people. So you have opportunities to try different things. Hey, let me do a smoothie bowl for breakfast instead of my pancakes and eggs. Let me try a salad for breakfast. I know people who eat salads for breakfast. Sarah does it all the time and she loves it. That idea never came into my mind until recently. Like, people eat salads for breakfast? Experiment. Have fun. Let's go to cleanse. We have 2 more, cleanse and energize. So cleanse is the C in balance, and this one is about detoxing. This whole category right here is detoxing. So when we're talking about balancing out your health and fitness and making sure that you're doing things in all these different areas consistently, we have an area in balance, in the balance chart, that's just for cleansing. Now, it's not only for cleansing physically. There's emotional cleansing, there's spiritual cleansing, there's mental cleansing. So the very first habit I have in my cleanse category is no social media for 24 hours. Think about that. Think about how many toxins are going into your body through social media, how many messages you're absorbing that are not serving you, how many messages you're taking in that are just adding to the judgment conversation you already have going on in your head. That's why I have a social media cleanse, so that I am not looking at anything on Facebook. I'm looking at nothing on Instagram. And I also incorporate things in there like looking at blogs in my news feed, because I have an Android phone and I have this little app in here called News, Google News, I guess. And it just gives me stories that have, news stories. But man, I find myself all the time having to remove different stories and sources because it's just so toxic. It just focuses on all the things that that I guess the editors are perceiving as the problems in the world. I'm here playing for an abundant, loving life. That's the lens I'm interested in looking at things through. That's the type of information I want to absorb. So I have a social media cleanse on here intentionally so that 2 times a week I am letting my mind be at peace from all of these messages and all these signals that are coming in telling me that I'm not worthy, I'm not fit enough, that I'm not loving enough, that I'm not man enough, all that stuff. Nope, no thank you. I also have things in here like no social media or no TV or no technology before I do something empowering in the morning. So before I take 5 minutes and do a little bit of mindfulness, or before I do 12 deep breaths, or before I drink 16 ounces of water, or before I stretch. So I make sure that I'm starting my day with something cleansing and something healing and something detoxifying. Because like I said, as soon as we step outside our doors, as soon as we turn on the TV, it's just toxins flying at us all over the place. Some of my other habits in here, 2 bowel movements a day. That's physically detoxing. That's getting toxins out of your body. So you want to make sure, at least for me, I'm playing for 2 a day. If you're a person and you might have one bowel movement in every 2, 3, or 4 days, then I would go back to your nutrition building block and look at what you're eating, because that's impacting your body's ability to cleanse, the solid matter, and start playing for at least one a day, because you want to be cleansing those things out of your system. I also have things in here like being caffeine free in the morning because I enjoy coffee. So giving myself no coffee at least 4 times a week. And then alone time. Similarly to the social media cleanse, right? Like alone time for me is very cleansing. I detox when I'm alone, when I'm out in nature. I love spending my alone time going to a movie sometimes. That's a lot of fun for me. But going into my garden and just being in there and just being connected to the earth. Very, very cleansing for me. So think about it for you. What are you doing consistently, daily or weekly, to cleanse your body, to cleanse your mind, to cleanse yourself across those 5 wheels, socially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically? It's important that you're addressing something that's cleansing in one of those areas throughout the week. Last but not least, we have energize. This habit, this building block, the E in balance, is all about energizing habits, habits that add to our vitality, habits that fill you up, habits that give you energy. So some of them that I have are 30 minutes of reading empowering material, reading a book like Power vs. Force, reading a book like 7 Habits that I talk about all the time. Those types of things add to my energy. Listening to empowering podcasts, that sort of stuff adds to us. And I started to become aware of some of the podcasts I used to like to listen to that were purely for entertainment, which are fine. I love being entertained. But I started to see that like I would listen to things that were not the most uplifting sometimes. And I began to notice how it impacted me when I would listen to stuff that maybe it was like I love Stuff You Should Know. It's one of my favorite podcasts. Sometimes they talk about like tragedies. They'll talk about people that got lost in the mountains and resorted to cannibalism and stuff. And I find those things interesting, but I also recognize that, man, you know what? I'm not walking away from this feeling empowered, feeling energized. So I just became aware. of it. I also have on my energized category lovemaking. Twice a week, I play for a 60-minute lovemaking with Sarah. That's amazing, energizing habit. My gosh, that sexual energy. There's so much energy in there. That's creation energy. Like literally, that creates lives. It creates life. And so really utilizing that sexual energy to fill you up, is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I mentioned gardening is in here. I have Om, orgasmic meditation. Again, that's another way to move some sexual energy around. And meditation. Meditation for me is very energizing. I feel refreshed. So that energize habit for yourself. What are you doing that is specifically energizing your mind, body, spirit in a healthy way, daily or weekly? In order to stay balanced in your health and fitness, you want to make sure you're addressing that energize habit. And this, again, goes for all of them. Every one of those building blocks for balance: breath, aqua, lengthen, anaerobic, nutrition, cleanse, and energize. Ask yourself, what am I doing in each one of those areas, either on a daily or weekly basis, consistently? If you have habits in those building blocks that you're doing consistently, you are balancing out your health and fitness. It's built that way. The technology of the balance chart is built that if you simply have a couple of habits, start out with 2, in each one of those areas, you are balancing out your health and fitness. You're addressing each one of those wheels in your body vehicle: spiritual, mental, social, physical, emotional. So again, I share this with you as a tool, a way that you can use something tangible to balance out your health and fitness. Because if you're going through life right now with one of your tires deflated or 2 of your tires deflated, I guarantee your experience of life is not as smooth. I guarantee it's impacting your overall experience of life. Because just imagine what it would be like if your car had 2 flat tires right now and you're trying to drive home from work. You will not have a smooth ride. So you don't have to argue with me on that, because that's simply objective, right? Like if one of those areas, if you've got nothing going on in your emotional wheel, your experience of life will be impacted. Now, it doesn't mean you got to go all hands on deck. We got to repair your emotional wheel. We got to jump into all these different things. No, let's just start out and do a couple things and build it up from there. So if you dig the technology and you want a piece of technology, you can get the app. It's at theydbg.com. Or if you're not interested in an actual app and you don't want to spend $10 a month, cool. Look at those 7 building blocks for yourself. Get out a journal, get out a piece of paper, open up a Word doc, and create your own habits. Do something in all of those 7 categories and tell yourself, hey, I'm going to do this once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever it is. But just commit to yourself. Again, if balancing out your health and fitness, like if you saw this title and you thought, oh, wait, I can't wait to see what he's going to talk about, then you are doing yourself a disservice if you hit end and you take no sort of action after this. Because your tires aren't going to inflate on their own. You have to actually get out and unscrew the little cap and grab the hose and connect it and hit that button to put some air in that tire. So you got to actually go and sit down and think about, what am I doing on a regular basis across these different areas in order to balance out my health and fitness. And if you aren't doing anything, okay, now's an opportunity for you to add one simple habit. If you've got nothing going on in breath throughout the week, then you know what? Say, I'm going to walk to the stop sign and back every day. I'm going to walk 100 yards every day. Great, start there. That's movement forward. That's movement in the direction of your health and fitness. And each time you do that 100-yard walk, you're winning. Your energy's going up. You know, you're contributing to your life force simply by making a step like that. And for other folks, if you're in a different space in your health and fitness journey and you're looking to step things up, great. Still use the balance framework. That's what I've been using, going from beginner to pro. I believe I reached that pro level before Maya was born. So 2 years ago, I reached that pro level, and I've been sustaining a pro lifestyle, being a father to a 2-year-old, running multiple businesses, being an attentive husband, being a huge part of my community, having a strong social wheel, being very engaged with my family, and even doing so many things over the years to repair relationships with family members and really to bring that aspect up and raise that area of my life up. So all of this stuff is possible. Because here's the coolest thing, and I'm going to end on this. As you are putting reps into yourself across that balance acronym in those building blocks, as you're doing habits again and again and again, your capacity goes up. You can handle more life stressors when you're making so many deposits into your tank. Think of the stresses in life and the needs of the different people and responsibilities in your life as gas being siphoned out of your car tank. And think of each one of these habits that I've shared with you in each 7 building blocks as you adding more gas into your tank. Right now, my tank has more gas than what life takes out of it. And my capacity, the size of my tank, continues to grow because I continue to play at a high level. I continue to make these deposits into my tank consistently. That's what we're talking about with balancing out your health and fitness. It's not about having this rigid, mechanistic, everything gets exact amount of my time and energy. It's not about having that watch where everything moves perfectly. No. It's about being in tree pose. It's about understanding what area needs a little bit of attention. And it's about making sure that you're doing small things in all of your areas consistently, knowing that some days and some weeks, you'll be putting more energy in areas than others. Those are called seasons in your life. In some seasons, certain roles get more attention than others. That's fine, as long as there's a counterbalance. Because if you keep putting more and more in one area and neglecting the other, think about me being in tree pose right now. If I keep leaning more and more to the left and I don't at some point put a little bit of counterbalance to the right, I'm going to fall over. So use everything from this episode as a framework, a system, a paradigm, a lens, whatever you want, to look at your health and fitness and ask yourself, how am I balancing all of it out? Yes. Wonderful. This was cool. I appreciated this. I love those of you who've reached out recently asking questions about the health and fitness and how to balance out the different roles and all that stuff. You were the ones who inspired this conversation today. So thank you so much. And I want to hear your thoughts. What are you doing? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? That's where I want to start. Because I know the idea of balance creates some feelings in folks, and I know it can be polarizing. So share with me. I'm super open to hearing your thoughts and your reactions. You can reach me at mattcbivens@gmail.com, as well as Instagram, Matthew_Bivens. We can get in a dialogue. We can talk. And if you're interested to learn more about the balance chart, if you're interested in some coaching, we can have a conversation about that too. You can contact me in the spaces I just told you about, or you can go to my website, matthewbivens.com/contact. And I'm super committed and passionate about health and fitness because I really believe that we view and experience life through our physical selves, through our fitness, through our health. And I'm playing for an abundant, loving life. That's an experience that I'm playing for. And I know at some level, I need to equip my body to have an abundant, loving life. My body's got to meet me there. And so that's one of my bigger whys. That's one of my bigger whys behind everything that I do consistently and have been doing for a while for my health and fitness. And it hasn't always been that way. That's the thing. It hasn't always been making this many deposits that I am today. I've built to it, but I started somewhere. I just got moving. So thanks for hanging out with me this time. I really appreciate you. I love that you're here. I can't wait to see what you do and be with all this new information. And my name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.